Beyond the Mic with Sean Dillon.
We're joined on the Starline by director of the documentary The Other Fellow, the previously untold story of people named Bond, James Bond. We welcome Matthew Bauer and one of the James Bonds himself, James Bond Jr.
Hey, how you doing?
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Matthew, James, let's go beyond the mic. Matthew, why is this story so intriguing for you to tell, and where did the idea, the concept come from?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was intriguing to tell because of the kind of characters I met when I was looking for these real James Bonds. You know, I went looking for real James Bonds, and I expected to hear a lot of martini jokes and those sort of things. But quite quickly, I found stories about dealing with like quite profound kind of identity crisis and identity confusion, and also some people who were on the run from stalkers. And actually, in the case of the James Bond we have here today, a James Bond who was on the run from the police.
James, when you found out about the film and Matthew contacted you, what were your first thoughts?
Well, when I first heard about it, I was kind of iffy, because I was in my prime, I was in my prime, so, I'm still acting bad, you know what I'm saying?
Matthew, how many stories of people named James Bond could you have put into this film?
I mean, not a crazy amount. I spoke with a lot of Bonds and we filmed a lot of Bonds. In the end, we decided to focus on kind of four kind of main stories. And the Bonds that we were kind of after, we wanted people who, for kind of dramatic tension, seemed in real life to be the opposite of our conception of what James Bond is. So, it was important to have an African-American James Bond in the film, which was James. We also had a homosexual James Bond in New York, dealing with all the womanizing jokes and that sort of thing. So we wanted people who in real life, even though their name was James Bond, they themselves had a contrast to the character.
And you even have a child who changed his name to James Bond so he could hide in plain sight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people expect it's going to be all kind of martini jokes. But I think a lot of people are surprised of just how deep these kind of stories go. Definitely with James here, we follow his journey kind of into and kind of out of prison, and going through that whole journey. I think that story in particular kind of really resonates with audiences. And I don't want to give too much away over the back half of the film, but it goes to some surprisingly dark places where we don't know if the ending is going to be a good one or not.
Mr. Bond, what is the current status of the court case against you?
Not guilty.
How does it make you feel?
I feel like O.J. Simpson. If the glove don't fit, they must quit.
How does it feel, James, to get another chance to start your life over again?
Well, the situation was stressful. The situation was hard on my family. The situation was like me being a person that didn't really care about nothing. A person that was like into the streets, into gangs, into everything. I wasn't a very nice person,
But now you've changed.
Yes, I changed.
James Bond Jr. and Matthew Bauer, the director of The Other Fellow, joins us beyond the mic for the Rocking 8. 8 random questions. Answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. There is no pressure since we have two guests. We'll alternate questions. James, since you like being called the Dark Knight,
okay,
who's your favorite Batman?
Who's my favorite Batman? What's his name? Christian Bale.
Very underappreciated Batman.
He laid back and he was super smooth. He had all the women and everything.
Matthew, where's your favorite film festival and why?
My favorite film festival is the Dinard Film Festival in Dinard in France, because they took very good care of us and put me up in a very nice hotel for 5 nights, which was greatly appreciated. So big shout out to the Dinard Film Festival.
James, what's the most important thing about your family? I see your family behind you.
You all crazy.
Come on, really?
No. It's the family values that we go through, I mean? One for my family, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how I would have made it through this little situation. But, with good family and a good backbone, ain't nothing impossible.
Matthew, what's your favorite James Bond film?
My favorite James Bond film is, if you held a gun to my head, probably On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is where the title of this film comes from, for a couple of reasons. One, it has the only Australian James Bond, and I'm Australian myself, but also because it has a rather big sort of twist ending, which is rare for a James Bond film. And also it has the line, "This never happened to the other fellow," which is the inspiration for the title of this film.
James, when you got out of prison, what was that first meal that you had?
Filet mignon.
Matthew, what's your favorite comfort food?
My favorite comfort food, since I'm in America, I will say a meatloaf sandwich actually is my favorite comfort food. I actually make my own meatloaf in London after discovering it in your fine country.
James,
Yes,
what does freedom mean to you?
means everything. It means a lot. I mean, nobody want to be locked up in a cage, eating slop, taking showers with other men. I mean, that's not cool.
Matthew, what does your art mean to you?
I mean, all I can really gauge it on is it's kind of all I do every day. And sometimes I pinch myself and go, my life is waking up at 5 a.m. to go on radio stations with a guy called James Bond for my art. It's pretty cool, This film has been a long journey, and it does mean the world to me, and I'm glad it's being well received.
It's time for One Big Question with James Bond Jr. and Matthew Bauer, the director of the documentary The Other Fellow, Beyond the Mic. Friends, when people see this film, what do you want them to feel?
I want them to feel the black version of James Bond. See that it ain't all peaches and cream.
Well, I mean, I'll go off James a bit there. I mean, I think it is really cool for an audience to see like a black James Bond actually, and to kind of see what it's like. And James is a very James Bond kind of guy. I mean, not that he has too many women, but he has had a lot of involvement with, cars and guns and this kind of thing. And to a degree, he has lived a James Bond life. And, Idris Elba, by the sound of it, is aging out. We're not going to get an Idris Elba James Bond. So, with James here, you've got the closest you've got on the big screens, the black James Bond.
Black one.
Where can people find out more about the film?
So the film will be released this Friday in limited theaters across the USA, and it will also be released day and date on demand, also this Friday, across various on-demand platforms. It is now available for pre-order on Apple TV.
The film is The Other Fellow, a film about men, real men named Bond, James Bond. We thank director Matthew Bauer and James Bond Jr. for taking the time to talk with us today.
No problem. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
And that, my friends, is a Beyond the Mic shortcut.